5, 4, 3, 2. Realtors, you're in the right spot.
We're going to do this together.
Welcome to the Leading Edge Podcast.
These mentors showed me a map of success.
This is the place for real estate pros like you to get better at running your business, balancing your life, and having happy clients.
Do you know how powerful you are?
And now your host, Eric Thompson.
Well, hey there, everyone. It's your good friend, Eric Thompson. This is the Leading Edge Podcast. It's episode number 72. Guys, today we have a very special episode because we have a very special guest. It is the one and only Lowell Wightman. Lowell's company is 360 Mindset. Lowell is a coach. We're going to talk about all things coaching. Lowell, thank you so much for joining the podcast. I'm just so grateful. Can't thank you enough.
Eric, glad to be here. It's always a pleasure to hang around with you.
All right. Well, I so appreciate that. So just for everyone's sake, a little bit of background. Lowell and I met several years ago here in Fort Collins, Colorado, and we had lost touch, but Lowell had recently seen the work I was doing around coaching and my coaching certification program and content I was putting out around coaching. And Lowell, I appreciate it so much. You proactively reached out to me. We had a great conversation and I invited you on the podcast. You graciously said yes. And so here we are. So again, I can't thank you enough for proactively reaching out. It was so great to hear from you again.
Well, you know, it's a busy world we live in, right? We're always stimulated by so many things and they distract us from some of the more important people and things we should probably stay in touch with. So I made a point to reach out to you because I had great experience the last time I met with you and your colleagues about the subject of leadership. Actually, we
Yes.
talked about it in your firm. So I'm really glad to be here.
Absolutely. I'm so glad as well. And so everyone should know that Lowell has a PhD. Lowell, you have a PhD in educational leadership and human development. You are a mental performance coach. So where I thought we'd start is by just having you tell us more about that. So if you could tell us about the specific work that you do and the kinds of people that you work with, and I think that will help kind of set the foundation for the rest of our conversation. So go for it.
That's a great question because when you talk about the word mental and performance in the same sentence, people kind of twist their head sideways and go, yeah, I'm mental and I do perform. So what does that really mean in practical terms? And practicality is a big part of what I try to do for myself personally. So as a mental performance coach, I'm dealing with psychological theory as it relates to human desire. So it doesn't matter what you do, everybody's influenced by their own personal desire. So what I've tried to do is measure that in some way. So I work with elite athletes and business executives to try to provide them with measurements about what they want and their desires. Now, with a measurement of 16 different factors that I measure, I get a pretty clear picture of who they are. So their ability to deceive me, not trying to imply a negative, because they may not know they're deceiving me, or the truth gets limited, so that we can really get to some results. So each participant that I work with, whether it's part of a team or just an individual client in that executive and elite athlete crowd, they'll all go through an assessment, a human desires assessment that measures 16 different factors. With those 16 different motivational constructs, I can clearly understand a trend and patterns of their behavior, both good and bad. So when I talk to them, I say, look, there's nothing about you that's negative or overly positive. It is what it is. It's who you are. But when I'm working with a statistically sound scientific metric designed to look at creating a mental performance plan, I've got a pretty good tool there. So those constructs help me to look at things like leadership, performance anxiety, or even for that matter, looking at what's the tendency of this athlete or executive towards being their best. So when it comes to athletic coaches, I can share with those coaches before a contest, what's a good combination of athletes to go on the floor or the field to attack a certain problem? We've measured it in each individual. We've accumulated that measurement. We've practiced it. created a plan for the performance so that when we see a difficult situation in a game or a business setting, we know who on the team should be present to make the presentation first, maybe lay back. I'm sure you've been in situations, Eric, where you're scratching your head with your teammates about who's going to be the one to talk first and who's got the best personality to address the needs of this person versus me. And we tend to then verbally butt heads with each other, right? Talking over one another or trying to struggle for position. With this information, we can clearly create plans that optimize performance and mitigate the impact of negative behavior or behavior that will diminish the possibilities of what we prescribe as our outcomes. So that's what I do.
Well, I love it. I love all of it. And yes, for sure, I've been in that situation. And also, Lowell, just so people understand, when you say elite level athletes that you work with, you mean elite level athletes. I mean, give people an idea. I mean, you don't have to name names, but these are professional athletes. You work at the highest level. Right.
Yeah, it's college and pro athletes, and in high school as well. There's been some rule changes in the NCAA to allow managers, agents, and performance people like myself to talk to high school athletes that are going to be eventually moving into the college and pro ranks. I've been very active over the years in the Olympics. This year, it's been extremely active with Olympic athletes because of the pressures they're under. They had to quickly adjust. Now they're going to quickly adjust into the Winter Olympics, which were coming within very few months after the Summer Olympics, the 2020 and 2021. So there's a lot of pressures that go on. So I deal with those kind of things. I also deal with what are called critical issues when the elite performers, athletes, entertainers, comedians, and then the business executives, well, they get themselves in trouble. They do or say things that others take umbrage to, and they get put into a compromising situation. And I get a phone call at the wee hours of the morning or night saying, so-and-so has done such and such at a given hotel, and they are now with us at the local police station. And certain people are called to adjust and adapt to make sure we take care of that. I'm called because we've got to calm that person down, get them to a place that in the next few days or weeks, they got to get back on that performance horse and do a concert, throw a football, run a track, ride a bicycle, whatever it might be. And in the moment they're in right now, they're not prepared to do that.
They're not ready to perform in that moment. Yeah. So that leads me to my next question, Lowell. I want to ask you. So clearly you study performance, you understand performance, you're an expert on performance. So what is it that drives performance? Like when you really distill it down, when you boil it down, like what's there? Like what is it that drives performance?
It's in the title. My wife calls it my 30-second elevator speech when somebody asks me what I do. Desires. It's human desires. Everybody's a bundle of nerve and energy. And that because we're humans, we've cognitively put that in perspective, right? Everybody's got their own approach on how they mentally approach their desires. But it's desire. Michael Johnson, for example, a 5-time gold medalist in track and field. He has desires, and he discovered how he puts his brain around his desires so that he can manage those in his practice routines and set goals about that process of managing those desires. Now, regretfully, some humans have desires that have never seen the light of day. They've repressed them for whatever reason or whatever influences in their life. They've just been kind of held back. With young people, we call that their dreams. They have dreams that have not, taken action. They have not found the reality, or a coach or a parent to help them release it. As we get older, our dreaming is not common. It's not commonplace because life and social norms cause roadblocks, obstacles for us to release it. We mentioned before we came on air about kids. Kids get in our world, and we pay attention to them as we should as parents. But that in itself represses our dreams so that when we become older and the kids are grown, all of a sudden our kids call us crazy because Dad, why are you doing that? Well, it's a dream. It's a repressed dream because I raised you. I now get a chance to go snowboard and, be part of that competitive world that I didn't have a chance to do when you were 7, 8, and 9 years old. So dreams are the manifestation of our desires. And hopefully with my efforts, I help both the elite performers release those dreams. Because I get athletes telling me all the time when I first meet them, and I'm referred into athletes, not necessarily do I solicit too many of them. And they ask me, why do I need you? I said, well, somebody called me and told me you couldn't catch the football anymore. or somebody called me and told me, says, you get really nervous and throw incomplete passes or they get intercepted. I don't know, maybe that could be the reason why. And you're paid millions of dollars to actually catch the ball and or throw the ball. So we quickly get over that, but then it still becomes, they're making $1 million in multiples of millions of dollars every year, representative of their image as an elite performer, but they're still failing, which means their desires are not connected to their physical capabilities of making it happen. So I help them get those obstacles out of the way, get in touch with their kid, be vulnerable, and make sure that they're able to exercise those muscles, those cognitive muscles, to become the best they can be again.
Got it. That's so fascinating. So it's desires that drive performance. That makes so much sense.
Yep.
When you say that and how you say that. So I would guess a lot of what you do is just helping people uncover and clarify what those desires are in the first place, and then help them to connect the dots back to performance, right?
And Eric, you meet, let's take it to the business world and the real estate world, as a metaphor for any business professional. When you wake up every day and you swing your feet over the edge of the bed, many times people's heads are so filled with what the day's got ahead of them, they don't take a moment to pause, to align their desires to that agenda. And in many cases, it's somebody else's agenda items. It's not yours, which is why you're so excited to get going. I want to accomplish everybody else's desires so I can get to feeling me. So I tell people to take a breath. The minute you swing your feet over the table, over the bed, and land on the floor, take a breath. Literally take a breath. Breathe in through your nose, out through your mouth, and think about what is in this day, the start of this day, that represents me. My mantra for my athletes and my executives is, it's all about me. Not in a selfish way, not in a, push my agenda on somebody else. I'm thinking about me first, because psychologically, I cannot be the best to anybody else if I'm not good for me first. So it's in a self-aware way that I ask you to have that mantra. It's all about me. It's all about me. So that you can then partition all those actions into steps that represent the best of you first, and then bring in the agenda of everybody else's into your world. Because you can't effectively address those other items until you take ownership of self.
Absolutely. Absolutely. This so aligns with what I coach and teach. I tell people if they want to be at their best for others, and if they do, absolutely they do at their core, in their soul, they just want to make such a contribution to other people. Well, the first person you have to take care of is yourself. You have to be at your best first before you can contribute at your very best level. So I love that. It's all about me. And I wrote down as a big takeaway, each day, align your agenda to your desires. Align your agenda to your desires.
Absolutely.
Instead of getting pulled off course onto other people's agendas, make sure that your agenda is lined up with your desires. Lowell, this is so good. So good. What I'm curious about is what do you notice, if anything, as a trend right now among the people that you work with? These are, don't even need to say it. These are interesting times, pandemic, race relations. People argue we're more divided as a society than we've ever been, politics, et cetera, et cetera. So all this stuff, all these external things, are they causing mindset and performance issues within the people that you coach, maybe differently than you've seen before, or maybe at a different degree than you've seen before, is what I'm curious about. Yeah,
it's not something I haven't seen before, but the degree with which it's appearing and raising itself up has been more frequent, and higher levels of energy and emphasis. So yes, COVID is a big part of that. But more importantly, it's what behaviors we were asked to participate in because of COVID. in a tongue in cheek, we called it cabin fever, when the winter months come around, right? Well, this was 24/7, 12 months a year, right? Being conscientious of where you go, how you behave, and really being cognizant of everything around you, but not in a healthy way, because it was fraught with fear and discourse about what the consequences were if I stepped out of line. And in some people, they went the other way. I don't want to step out of line. I want to have my freedom. I want my independence. I'm going to be belligerent about this in some cases. And for some, it was actually violent. So we have these huge swings of extremes of emotional participation in our life and our lifestyle for almost the last 2 years. And it has gotten better, but what's exacerbated it and left the trends that I'm seeing in place is that it's inconsistent. That yes, there's some that can be more free. Like if you got vaccinated, you have a choice now. I can wear a mask or I don't have to wear a mask. I can do 6 feet or I don't have to do 6 feet. But regretfully, that has not been the case with most people that have the latitude to look at being a little freer, a little looser in their behavior. So the trend in very quick terms is mental health awareness is rising. People are more aware of how they behave, how they think, how they feel towards others. And when I say it that way, I mean both good and bad feelings towards others. And then the other thing that's a trend is the solution sets. We're looking and struggling to find the solution sets towards mental health awareness. And what does that mean for me? Because there's a lot of taboos. There's a lot of myths around mental health. In the athletic world, in the high performance world, first responders, military, a lot of the people that I work with, I'm not sick. What do you mean? I'm fine. No, you're not fine, because the incidences of things that cause negative feedback for you have risen. Deaths, struggle. Heck, we got forest fires along with with COVID. I mean, there's all different kinds of pressures that we're feeling. So mental health solution and the readiness to apply solution sets are constantly growing and excelling. Now, that being said, the opposite is also happening. A huge desire to excel and improve performance outcomes is very high. It's like if you're going to give yourself medicate on the performance world, okay, I'm going to ignore COVID. It's not going to catch me, because if I run really fast and work out really hard, how can it get me? Because I'm healthy. So I'm sure you've known people that in the days when we didn't have COVID and you were stuck in a house because of the winter months, you rushed very quickly to get on a bike, to go running, to go swim, do anything. And your performance levels were off the charts as the breakaway. So that's also happening. All of it needs to be put in perspective, though. We need to keep a balance and a thought process about how quickly we run towards solution sets that may not be as aligned to our personal desires as they should be. Got
it. So bottom line, similar issues that you've always seen, but at a more intense level, but also more awareness around mental health and mindset and the connections from mindset to performance. That's also risen, which is really, really great news. Lowell, one thing you talk about, and I think related to what you were just talking about, one thing you talk about is that technology abyss. Yeah. Technology abyss. So tell us about that. What do you mean by that? What is the technology abyss? How do we avoid it? All those things.
I'm a grandfather of 6. So one would not imagine that I would have any potential to fall into a techno abyss, because why would a grandfather of 6 even touch technology? I should just be sitting on the couch and everybody just circles around me and plays with me. That's it. I'm just slow motion, soon to be attached to a walker. Well, no, that's not the case. Because of my client base, I have to be aware of technology and its influence. I'm not yet subscribed to TikTok because I don't think I'm that funny. I don't know how creative I am. So TikTok is not, but that's the only thing that I haven't touched. Everything else in the social media platform world, I either touch it or find out about it because of the audience I deal with. Now, with that relevant community that I deal in, I see the technology abyss. They're touching it too much. They fall into it. Here's the signs of a techno abyss. You have kids that are old enough to be in this abyss. They have their heads down, slumped shoulders, disposable thumbs are moving very, very fast. You know that they're close. And if you don't grab them by the back of the neck, they may fall into the black hole of techno abyss. Now,
I've been there. I know what you're talking about. Yes, I've seen
that. So we have adults like this too. Now, unfortunately, in the business world, we don't necessarily get to go to their houses and see them slouched in the darkness, in the shadows, with the glow of a television screen on their face, watching them with the controller, playing the video game. Or in some cases, it's not a video game that the abyss first starts with. It could be multiple screens. How many advertisements have you seen where you can attach now an extendable 3-screen apparatus onto your laptop? You slide it on the main screen and then 2 screens pop up on the side. That is the physical example of you could be falling into the abyss. So in real estate, you've got all kinds of numbers. You've got services that you subscribe to give you data, right? So a 3-screen play could not be enough. You need the data from the pool of where the properties are. You need the information and spreadsheets from your colleagues about, the internet site, the emails that are coming through. Plus, you got to keep up with your friends on social media with Facebook, which is the 3rd screen over on the other side. And each of those screens may have multiple windows. Have I described the abyss to you?
Yes, I get it. I see the abyss. So stay out of the abyss. Be aware of the abyss. Understand what it can do to you.
And be aware of your colleagues around you and pull them out. Be emphasizing on a more serious note for just good mental health is plan times when you are alone without your phone. It's not on, or any kind of technology, and you take a walk, or you go to the club and you work out looking at others around you. Psychologists and therapists will say, if something or someone is beginning to get to you, then lift your eyes away from that focal point and look at other scenes around you and see the details. So for example, on the desk that's in front of you right now, in the room that you're in, are you seeing the details? Do you see the weaving of the mesh on the microphone you're talking into? Do you see the texture of the paint on the walls? And if you haven't looked at that and seen that often enough, then stop and do that, because you're now saying to yourself, oh my God, I've been sucked into the tunnel. I might go in deeper. I need to back up and start looking at the details of what's around me so I can identify individuals and things around me that allow me to stay in that self-motivation, self-efficacy position. Because if I'm letting the technology suck me in, I'm not aware of other people around me. I'm not aware of my spouse, my kids, my dog. And if you leave the house not knowing them, will you know the stoplight? Will you see the traffic? Too often people get themselves into compromising physical situations.
Right. I love that. Look for the detail. Look for the detail. Pull yourself out of the abyss by noticing the detail. One thing I teach Lowell, I call the 30-30-30. So 3 really important 30 minutes of your day. Your first 30 minutes when you wake up, 30 minutes when you first get home, and then 30 minutes before you go to bed. The rule is no screens in those 30 minutes. So no screens first 30 minutes of the day. First 30 minutes you get home, you're connecting with your family, and 30 minutes before you go to bed. Be mindful of the abyss. Help your friends out of the abyss. Help your family out of the abyss. I love it. And another thing you talk about is authenticity.
Yeah.
One of my favorite topics. So tell us about that. What the importance of authenticity, what it means to you, how it relates to performance. Tell us about that.
It's hard to take action, Eric, on anything, and especially action on areas of importance to you, that will mean financial reward, that will mean accomplishing a very strong goal without authenticity. You might be frozen without authenticity to take action. So it's a foundational component, but you need genuine behavior in that authenticity so that you can create and measure your integrity. So integrity for me is balled up in words like trust, confidence, trustworthiness, performance capability. So to make it simple, to get to being authentic, start with being trustworthy. And there's two components to trustworthiness. There's trust. If I say it, I will do it, right? But we've all met people that you thought you could trust because they have a history of saying it and doing it, but then performance capability snuck in there. Oh, well, you didn't. Yeah, you gave it to me on time, but this stuff sucks. This is the worst pile of crap I've ever seen. What? Well, yeah, okay, I can give you points for delivering what you said, but what you delivered isn't what I expected. We talked about that. How were you accountable to that? So trustworthiness is the combination of trust and performance capability. You've got to be able to reproduce the same thing or better for me to really call upon you as a trusted person. So trustworthiness is far more important to me in the elite performer world than just being someone I can trust. And without that, it's hard for me to get to authenticity. You're not authentic. You're kind of slippery.
You're kidding yourself. You're kidding me. You're kidding everyone. Let's stop kidding. Yeah.
So you have to lead integrity, and trustworthiness must be present. You can't have authenticity without the integrity along with trustworthiness. And so anybody you hear that talks about, I want to be a leader. I want to be a leader. That's a first caution. When they talk out loud about, I want to be a leader, I want to be a leader, be very cautious about whether they're trustworthy or not. Because the true leader, the person who may not even know that they're striving for true leadership, are the ones that don't expect followers. They just do. They deliver on time, they deliver what they say, and it's high quality or better than they've ever produced before, because they're constantly seeking out, trying to be better. That's what you want. Now, not everybody will be able to deliver that, but that's a good measuring stick.
Absolutely. And people are naturally attracted to those kind of people. They naturally start following those people.
Yes.
Without that person ever having to say, I want to be the leader. It happens organically. It happens authentically.
Yeah.
To your point. Yes.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. So good. Okay, Lowell. So the last big question I want to ask you here. So what I know about the people listening is that they want results. They want big outcomes. They wouldn't be engaging with this podcast if they didn't. They want to grow. They want to learn. They want to expand. They want to contribute. And so it all comes back to performance. So here we are with you. I mean, a leader, an expert on performance. If someone wants big outcomes, big results, if they want to perform at a high level, what's the first thing they should do? Like, what should they do first?
Well, there's 3 P's. And the first thing in the 3 P's is prepare. So that, and if you're an athlete, our preparation is going to be physical. We're going to feed ourselves. We're going to get strong, get fast, be quick, be agile, all that, whatever. Prepare is a big word. And in the business world, you're still preparing. You're training, you're getting education, you're talking to colleagues. There's nuances about paperwork. As you know, in real estate, paperwork is just a big part of the whole deal, right? So prepare that stuff and make sure it's upfront. Now, people argue with me, and they have. The next P is plan. Some say, no, you got to plan first. No. Plans take a real nosedive if you're not prepared, because prepared is energy and resources and that effort, that you say, I'm going to take care of me first in the morning. That's part of the preparation. It's all about me. I can't get to a plan unless I'm all about me. And in fact, I can't have the confidence to say no to other people and their agenda if I don't prepare. So I reverse it.
Prepare, then plan.
Yeah.
Okay. So let me ask you this. You talked about desire when we first started, and uncovering desires, getting clear on desires. So is that part of preparation?
You're getting it. You're getting it. Yeah.
Yes. So yes is the answer. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Absolutely.
And another thing I wonder about it, how about deciding that you want that outcome in the first place, and deciding that you're all in, and deciding that you're committed, deciding that you're going to make it happen no matter what. Is that part of preparation as well?
Yeah, the emotional side. That's what mental health, because we're getting so sensitive to it now because of what was going on in our world today. Mental health is a big part of that preparation. Get mind alignment. mental performance coaching is helping you align yourself in that preparation. It's also making decisions about you, that you're in that place, taking ownership as part of that preparation. And also the preparation is the energies around those desires to drive yourself. I mean, you know, when you come into a meeting, who's prepared. You can see it in their faces. You can watch them go to the coffee maker and the table in the back with the donuts and how their body looks and how my wife is always amazed when we go to baseball games. She says, how do you know that pitcher is going to do what he's going to do? I said, I can see it in his body. I know, I can tell you what pitch is going to be thrown because I know the count and the situation, but I know the body. So you can tell if people are prepared by the way they look, by the way they sound in their voice. You know them. And some have higher degrees of knowing than others because they're just energy, oriented people. And then you watch them sit down and see what's around them and the plan. I get so many people asking me about the tools that I use to schedule and organize and plan my days. I said, it doesn't matter what I have. I can give you recommendations till the cows come home. I mean, these recommendations keep businesses going because we buy their calendars and their pens and their tools and that's wonderful. That should happen, right? But you need to take whatever many suggestions you can find and put it into something that is yours, that it's your plan and that makes you connected to your preparation. Because if you don't have a plan that activates your prep, it just sits there. It just here's a great example with athletes. So I had some quarterbacks in the NFL a few years ago. Their strength and conditioning coaches they're bench pressing the daylights out of them. I mean, their chests were huge. They were getting stronger up top. And then they would go to the workouts for what they call on-air workouts, where they're just basically throwing to routes. And the footballs are going all over the place. And they're coming in like bullets. I mean, just darts. And yet they aren't on target. So the adeptness, the finesse of the pass was gone because they were just buff, just strong. And if I mention some of the names, you know exactly who they were, and you go, yeah, I think I saw that in the game. So I have huge arguments with the strength and conditioning coaches about fitting the program to the athlete and the skill set that is necessary. That's a metaphor for anybody's business. Make sure that your preparation fits your plan. If you plan to throw 60-yard darts, you better make sure that the player on the other end has the same plan and can catch that sucker. Tim Tebow, who's not in football anymore, was one of those players. He did not have preparation that fit his plan. And over the years, I got to him too late and it didn't work. But that's the best example I can give you about prep connecting with plan. The third P then is practice. Is make sure you practice. Now in real estate or any business, especially sales-oriented business, how many professionals do you know that actually practice their pitch, practice their approach to meeting clients?
Well, I happen to know a lot because I have them do that. But generally speaking, in our industry, it's a minuscule percentage that actually practice. They wait till they're in front of the client to practice, and that never goes well. So
yeah. And I have had, now this is just for your audience so they know that for those who are embarrassed about themselves, practice. I can't do it. I can't stand in front of a mirror and talk to the mirror and talk to myself and practice my routine. Well, fine, then don't. Sit silently in a chair and just run it through your mind. It's called positive self-talk. In the sports psychology world, that's what it's called. In general psychology, it's called visioning. There's other words we use for the practice part of what we're talking about, but everybody has a different degree of capability in self-efficacy. This is me. I know me. And so for me to be effacing to my plan and in the preparation I've done, I've got to find a way to practice. I've got some people in the sales business at high level sales. They practice when they take their walks in the morning. So if somebody were to observe them, they'd look, that person's kind of loony. They're talking to themselves walking down the street and they're moving their hands. But I tell you what, the aerobatic skiers in the Olympics, they stand in hotel rooms practicing You see them move their arms, their hips, and their eyes are closed. They're visioning every single move they do once they launch off of a mound of snow into the air. Shaun White off of the half pipe, he does that. Well, they expect it in sports, right? The psychological theory behind it is also applicable in the business world. I encourage your listeners to do that. Practice, practice, practice.
Practice, right?
And meet your own expectations through that practice.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Which then helps you to be more prepared. So it kind of goes full circle, right? So preparation, plan, then practice. I really appreciate what you said about if you don't prepare, the plan will take a nosedive. It'll hit a wall, it'll flame out, or it'll just sit there collecting dust because there's no preparation, there's no desire, there's no fuel behind it. So
that's a warning, Eric, for any of your listeners who are in management. They still probably are selling, still have a book of business, but they're managing. When you expect a plan first before the prep, you are guiding people down a path that is going to breed failure. You're creating plans for failure because you're limiting them, and they're going to get frustrated and they're going to be emotional. So if as a manager, you have any real estate agents that you're trying to coach them, you're trying to help them, and they seem like just bumping up against the wall, take a breath, back them off, and see if they're prepared. Have they been prepared on how they talk about objections? Have they gotten preparation on how to get their notes together, time management, territory management, the record keeping on the financial side of the transaction of real estate? Are they prepared so that
they have a good night's sleep? Did they eat a good breakfast? Did they work on their mindset? Did they, work with someone like you there, it's all the things.
Well, and that is, we're also discussing something that is a hesitancy for a lot of people that are older in the business. Anybody in their late 40s and up are maybe more resistant to that warm and fuzzy stuff. I don't care what you eat in the morning. Why do I care? That's your problem if you didn't get enough sleep. Well, it is your problem. If you benefit from their performance and you're there to coach them, you need to start dipping your toe in that water and bust that paradigm of old dated thinking about preparation and planning, because you'll be the obstacle. You are the obstacle to that person and others getting where they need to go.
Right. So Lowell, I cannot thank you enough. I had so many takeaways, so many nuggets. I'm sure all the listeners had the same experience. And so if someone's listening and they want to learn more from you, find out more about you, where's a good place for them to go? Where's a spot where they could go to get more coaching, teaching from you?
The best place is my website, 360mindset.com. And also, if you frequent Spotify, iTunes, any of those, if you were to just type in 360 Performance, that's my podcast. So I do a live show every Friday on various issues. This Friday, we're going to talk about sports mental health with a Dr. Leslie Rogers this Friday. And all you have to do is go on to the Facebook and look up 360 Mindset, and you'll find me at 11 o'clock Mountain Standard Time. So website first, 360mindset.com. Check out any social media podcasts and type in 360 Performance, and you'll catch me and have a whole plethora of topics you can listen to with that. So I'm grateful, Eric, for your friendship and your just your endless energy of discovering what's best for those around you. It as you know, it pays great benefit for not just your business world, but for you as a person and as a father. It's just really good stuff. So congratulations on that.
Thank you, Lowell. I appreciate that. And thank you again so much for being here. Just fantastic. So again, everyone, 360mindset.com. It's Lowell Wightman, mental performance coach. And everyone, I hope you have a terrific rest of your day. Thank you so much, as always, for engaging with this podcast. Can't wait to see you on the next one. Until then, enjoy life on the leading edge. Take care. Bye.